Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Leon Rosette.
Welcome to CAD 136 and our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Alrighty, so as we take a look at the calendar of events, Module 5 is due on the 14th, and that's tomorrow. If you need an extension, email us and let us know that you need a little bit more time to get that done. In fact, Al, we'll make that due on the 16th, just because we're coming off of a holiday weekend. So we'll push that back, give you till midnight on Sunday, just in case. Module 6 is our last assignment, and Module 6 is the floor plan that we're going to model for either the bank or the cabin. We will have a final exam in this class. The final exam, practice exam, will start on May 3rd. That'll give you the opportunity to take a practice exam to get a feel for what the final exam will be like. It'll be multiple choice questions from our textbook that we're using for these assignments. And a lot of the questions will come from the end of the chapters. That test will be the final exam, and the final project are due on the 10th. And so as we start to get things rolling, everything will be due May 10th. If we take a look at the assignments, remember, if you do need some assistance, want to come in, we have in-class available Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and virtually on Fridays. Please email us, let us know if you're going to be there so that we can make arrangements. Here's our video from last week from our Zoom meeting, and then here's the posting of the final lab assignments. If we take a look at the content section, Module 6, you can choose either of these floor plans to model, and what you can do is you can get the elevation details. We're going to model this area right here, the bank teller in the lobby area, and we'll make the vault as well. And so the information is given here. They don't really give us a ton of information for the vault. You may have to be a little bit creative as far as to how you want your bank vault to look. Maybe watch some of the Ocean's 11 or Ocean's bank robber things, bank movies, so that you can kind of see what that looks like, or do a Google search for vault doors. Other than that, though, everything else is pretty well laid out. You can download the drawing right here, and so we can select download, and then we can open it. And so here's our blank student floor plan, and you have a lot of the information that you need to acquire and make measurements. And so, for example, here is the lobby teller elevation right here, and you can glean the dimensions for the heights of the countertops from here. And then we want you to be able to use analysis tools like measure distance. And so if I wanted to know what the thickness of this countertop was, I could just measure it, and I can see that it's 2 inches for that countertop. So it's a nice heavy countertop. You're welcome to use different hatch patterns in colors and things like that as you start to work on this. And what we recommend you do is that you use the Design Center from D2L. And so if I go to Design Center, go to D2L, and I find my Design Center right here, you can download that and then use that to insert content into the drawing. Content meaning things like chairs, furniture, and things like that. You don't have to make it up all yourself. And so I've done that. If we take a look at the drawing, what I've done is I've started to model it, and as we create these models, the way that I did this was to use my design center. And so let's see, where did it go to? DC is what will bring it back. Design center. There it is. It's on my second screen. And so what I've done is I've opened up Design Center. Whoops. There we go. And so I put it in my 136 folder, Design Center, and then we have things like appliances, casework, general equipment, furnishings. And so I have the furniture folder open, and what I can do is I can drag in this furniture, like this chair, and then I can place it over the existing 2D geometry. And so I can just say, okay, let's put that here. I'm not going to scale it. I'm going to rotate it like that. And then you can line things up in the top view. And so we can go to our top view, line up that information so that it fits directly on top of our existing two-dimensional. And what I've done to bring in the chair details is I made a layer here in the layer manager called 3D furniture. And that way I can toggle on and off the 2D geometry as we're working on it. And so as we start to work with like modeling techniques, we can pull content from our design center. And so we can go here and we can get another chair if we want, bring that into the drawing, locate it where we wanted our 2D, take the same scale, bring that like that. And so we have nice placement. I might line these up a little bit. They're not quite perfect, but and then grab an isometric view to take a look at how that model is starting to work out. Areas like this, like the countertop, I'm creating it, and I'll show you how I did that. What I did to create that, I'm just going to delete it, and looks like I consumed a little of the content here. Let me go to this layer, make it current. I just lost one line, which was this one right here. This is created with just regular vector-based line geometry, and I need one more line here. Let me copy this right here. And so that's what our two-dimensional work will look like. And then what I would do is, rather than, you can press pull it and things like that, but I like to just trace over it. And so as we're working with AutoCAD, and it's kind of 2.5D to 3D, I like to use tools, toolbars, AutoCAD, and I like to turn on a layers, a modeling, and a properties toolbar. And you can see them docked here across the top, because I like to stay in the 2D environment and then just grab some of the 3D commands. So for example, to create this countertop, this is the countertop, and we're going to go with the same height. We're going to make this 3 feet 6 inches. And so we could press pull this shape, or we could just outline it with a rectangle. I'm just going to outline it with a rectangle, and so I'm just going to go from corner to corner here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to extrude it. And if you get the line, you're not going to need it, and so we can just delete it. And then I have the polyline, which is the rectangle, and I can extrude that 2 inches. And then I can 3D move that to a height of 3 feet 6. And so as we work with this, here's my 3D move command. I'll select the object, hit enter, grab the Z-axis, and then I'll move that up 3 feet 6 inches. And I'll do the same technique for the wall, but I'm going to bring that up 4 feet, just so that there's like a little privacy in between there, like a privacy screen. And I'll use the same technique where I can go through and I can trace over it with a polyline. You could also convert these to polylines, but remember, when we're modeling with solids, we want closed boundary shapes. So now we have this closed boundary shape, and if I hover over it I can see that. And so what I can do is I can then extrude that, because this is a wall, and I'll bring that up 4 feet. And then you're welcome to use modify commands like 3D mirror to mirror this. And so we can say 3D mirror, select our object, hit enter, and then define 3 points as a plane to mirror with. And so we'll say midpoint. You need to make sure that you use your O snaps as you create these geometries. And there we have our station where you can go in and write your checks and do your paperwork. And so as we start to create these models, this will be the technique that we'll use. We can find content in Design Center. And so if we come back here to Design Center and then we want to put some other additional things on the desktop, we can do that. For the walls, we can work on our layer. I'm going to make a layer called 3D wall. And I'll make that layer current. I'm going to give it a little different color since I have enough of that color out there already. I'm going to go with this cyan color. I'll make that current. Pull this to my second screen. And just like we were doing before, it's not a bad idea to polyline around the building walls to be able to bring that up. And so we can polyline over our existing geometry on our 3D wall layer to create a boundary shape for that. And so it doesn't have to have the whole wall. We can do Boolean activities to join them together after we've created them. So I'm just going to go like this. And it looks like I have a little bit off here, and so let's see if I can fix that. I'm just gonna, for the sake of the video, just make it straight. I can add a little part there later. And then I'll extrude that, and when I extrude that, it's giving me an error saying that it's a self-intersecting curve, so I'm going to have to take a look and see what's going on with that. Oh, I see it right now. And so as I hover over it, I have a redundant point here, and so I'm going to just pull that back over there. Let's see if I kept my old one. No, it took them both. I'm going to pause while I fix this. You can see where that's at. Okay, resuming. I had a what they call a self-intersection area here, and so I just went through and made the boundary shape. Now you could convert an existing line by saying p-edit and join. It might be a little bit faster, but we'll extrude. We'll select that line geometry, we'll hit enter, and then we'll bring that up. And I'm going to make this 6 feet in height. And so we'll say 6 feet, enter. We can always, modify these solids after we've created them by grabbing this triangle icon and make the walls bigger or smaller. And so if I go down 5 feet, I can lower that. But from a standpoint of if we have the walls all modeled up 10 feet tall, then it's hard to see the interior features. And we kind of want a presentation drawing so somebody can get a feel for how this looks. We can go through and we can start to look at different techniques as far as conceptual or X-ray, being able to assign these different colors and things. Right now the way that we're managing colors is by using layers, and so if I select this, we're on the 3D wall layer, the color is by layer. If I said, hey, I want something that's a little bit different color, I can click on that and I can go and change that to slightly different color. Let's go with something that's sort of greenish, and we can say OK, and then I can click off of the part like that. And then just like we were working with the chairs, we can go and use our design center to pull other furniture and other items for the room. And so as we continue working on the model for this, this is our final assignment. You're to model this area right here, the lobby tellers, and the vault. And then the details for the elevation are right here. We have the lobby teller elevation, and then we have the detail information for the top view of the vault. You'll have to do a little bit of research as to how you want the front view to look like, and that vault door will be located right here. Alright, and so as we look at the way that the layouts are set, we have these different tabs here. Here's our vault door layout, layout 1. Here's our furniture plan. We can add our dimensions to this one. Our dimension layer is currently turned off. And I'll come back to that. I do believe the dimension layer is there, but if not, we can add it. And then here's our teller elevations. And so we can add another viewport here, and so we can just say right mouse click, make, move, or copy, and we can make a copy of the teller elevation, create a copy, and say OK. And now we have a secondary, and we can double click within the viewport, unlock that. And you might say, hey, that's not the same title block. You're correct. This is something that we modeled in the past. You can use this title block. It's not a big difference. I can then go and find the model view, and so I can say view, 3D view, southeast isometric, and then I can start to dial in what I want to see for that. I could say view, visual style, conceptual. And then as we work with these different components, we can either use viewport layering to turn off the things that we don't see, or we can make and just turn off the layer within the viewport. So I can come here and I can say, well, I don't want to see this brick pattern. So the A hatch elevation layer, I'm going to click on the freeze in the current viewport, and I can then turn it off in the viewport without necessarily having to turn off everything that's out here in model space. It's still visible here, but on my 3D teller elevation, I don't know why it's missing. It was there and it disappears. There it goes. But on my 3D teller elevation, I'm going to lock in a scale for that. You can manage your layers that are visible for that. And feel free to be creative. If you want to add some plants and some other things to make it look really cool, be our guest. And that'll be our final project. Alright, let's go back to the D2L and take a look at that. And so as we start winding down with the course, we're working on our final student project. If you need any extra help, just let us know. We'll have the final exam, practice exam, starting on the 3rd, and then all work will be due on the 10th. Al, is there anything else that we need to talk about before I end the recording and we open things up for questions?
Oh, we did a great job. Thank you very much.
We're good then. I'll stop the recording and we'll post it, and we'll see you online next week.